Jesse, you got very nerdy with your annual 2024. It's an annual survey now.
Fan surveys are not that nerdy, Derek. Come on.
Him going over the data, it was disgusting. It was gross. We talked about what him and the Baseball Savant website when he wasn't here. You guys know about that. But he very much enjoyed asking all of you your thoughts and getting all of that information together. Speaking of aggregating, right? This is aggregating data. And Jesse really wanted to dig in to see what you, the fans, thought about this team, what they did during the offseason, who your favorite players are, and so much more.
Really, Jesse wanted pie charts.
Jesse wanted
pie charts
like bad.
And I didn't get them.
He was begging for pie charts, guys.
You guys see this guy on the show all the time. Maybe the most frustrated he gets is with me at times. You have no idea the anger, the furor that Jesse, the levels of anger he gets to over not getting his pie charts. But
we should have a quote graphic that says, everybody loves a pie chart.
Everybody loves a pie chart. And it's just Jesse. Yeah, because he said that at one point.
It's true, Derek.
He said it multiple times.
People love pie in general, and pie charts.
That is true.
They just beckon memories of the
There's
last
some Circle K pies right over there. They're not the
That's-
shape that you're looking for, but now that you're
true.
talking about pie, I want a pie. Okay, so go ahead. Go on with your thing. I'm hungry now.
All right. So question number 1 was, how many games will the Diamondbacks win in 2024? Damon has a handy graphic here that shows results from said question. And here we are. We got nearly 800 responses to this. So there's a decent sample behind all of this. Really appreciate everyone who filled out this survey.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, how many games will the Diamondbacks win in 2024? There were 6 different buckets. We have 1.3% of people choosing 74 or less.
Attaboy.
0.6% 75 to 79.
Let's go.
6% 80 to 84. 46.1% 85 to 89. 39.6 for 90 to 94. And 6.4% of you are crazy enough to think the Diamondbacks will win 95 or more games in 2024. Maybe that's not so crazy.
Those are my favorite people. Those are my favorite.
You were
people.
probably one of those.
I was not. I was
Okay.
the 85 to 89 bucket, which I felt like was fairly reasonable.
Sure.
What I'm surprised about here is not more votes for 80 to 84. You guys are true fans here. Like, everybody thinks they're going to win 85 games or more, pretty much, it seems like, and that's cool. I hope that's the case.
I mean, the Diamondbacks won 84 games last year, right? So if you voted in the 85 to 89 bucket or higher, you are expecting the Diamondbacks to win more games in 2024 than 2023, and over 90% of you were in that category, and I can understand that for sure.
I just expected more naysayers. I expected more negativity. Thunderbolt, where's Thunderbolt? Is Thunderbolt in there? Thunderbolt has to be in the 70 to 74
as
range.
long as Torrey's the manager.
Yeah, this team's cooked as far as he's concerned.
Well, we will get to people's thoughts on Torrey here in a moment. But our next question was, who is your favorite current Diamondbacks player? And this was also a fun one. Obviously, I expected Corbin Carroll to be number 1. That was, in fact, the case. But there were a lot of other guys getting votes. Corbin was number 1 at 37.7%. Gabby Moreno coming in at number 2, 14.9% of the vote. Then it was Patel at 11.9%. Alec Thomas comes in 4th here at 8.9%. Zach Gallen at 5th, 6.6%. And then we had over 150 votes for other players as well. That took up 20% of this question.
That is interesting. It's interesting to me. Gabriel Moreno, no surprise. I'm surprised that Lourdes didn't have enough votes to make really an impact on this.
I have the full list here in front of me. Lourdes was 7th. Christian Walker came after Gallen at 6. Lourdes was 7th with 3.4% of the vote. Then it goes Kevin Ginkel, Merrill Kelly, Geraldo Perdomo. That's your top 10 right there.
You got 2 essentially rookies leading the way as far as who are the Diamondbacks' best players, or favorite players. Diamondbacks fans' favorite.
How many Jerry P guys are there?
We have 17 votes for Geraldo Perdomo, 2.3%.
The Jerry P brigade.
Other players receiving multiple votes: Jake McCarthy, Brandon Fott, Joe Mantiply, Paul Sewald, Tommy Henry, Dre Jameson, Ryan Nelson, and Pavin Smith.
What about Christian Walker?
Joe Mantiply?
Christian Walker, I said him earlier. He was 6th. He was right behind Zach Gallen.
That's the Bang Bang gang right there. That's the Christian Walker fans are the Bang Bang gang.
I'm sorry. Who on earth said Joe Mantiply was their favorite Diamondbacks player? His family?
Maybe.
I respect it. I respect it. We also had 1 vote for Jordan Lawler and 1 vote for Joe Mather, which that one I haven't quite figured out what happened there.
Who
But
did that? That's got to be Don's bread. No, he voted for Pavin for sure.
The
He voted
question
for
specifically says favorite player.
Yep.
I probably should have thrown out the vote for Joe Mather entirely, but yeah, someone's a big Joe Mather
Joe
fan.
Mather fan.
So
that has to be Joe Mather himself.
I respect it. Our next
Scott.
question was, how would you grade the Diamondbacks offseason? Certainly expecting pretty positive feedback here. D and F were in fact options, although no one picked either of them, which I was not surprised by. So we have 39.7% of you saying A, 55.9% giving the Diamondbacks a B, and then 4.1% C. Derek, any surprises here?
No surprises, though. I think is Jacob over here patting himself on the back for his graphics? Because I'd like to point out that as we get to some of these, the highlighted number makes 0 sense. At one point, it was the best thing or the one that got the most, but then he just went rogue at one point and started making random things. So I don't know how much patting on his back he should be doing. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that is a very solid mix. I think B is a good grade. That's probably where I voted at. Like, you can't say it's perfect because they didn't get everything done, but you get that DH done, and we might be talking about an A for sure. And again, it's just exciting for them to have built enough on the team that went to the World Series for fans to be this excited about the moves they made during the offseason, right? It really shows that they're building and that fans are excited about what they're building.
Yeah, I'd be really curious if the Diamondbacks do sign a Jorge Soler, a JD Martinez, a Rhys Hoskins. I would love to put this poll out maybe just on Twitter and see what the results are. I imagine that we'd get like 70+% of people giving the Diamondbacks an A for the offseason at that point. I mean, I don't know realistically what more you were really looking for. Along those lines, our next question, which free agent hitter do you want the Diamondbacks to sign most? No surprises here. JD Martinez is at the top of the list.
JD Martinez.
61.3% of people said JD Martinez. Jorge Soler, who we just talked about, at 19.6%. Rhys Hoskins in third place there at 7.3%. Justin Turner at 5.4%. And then we had just over 6% of people select someone else.
This reminds me of when I watch a reality show and it's down to the final 4 people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with 3 out of these 4 winning. So that means the one I hate is going to win it. And that's why Justin Turner is going to be our next DH.
How dare you?
I don't want that, Damon. I don't want it. But I'm just saying that's the way that things work out for me. JD Martinez, that's an overwhelming amount for him. I'm actually surprised about that because I do feel like from what I've seen from a lot of people, their response is that they're leaning towards Soler. I think they like,
or at least they're like very happy with Soler.
Oh yeah, no, I think people would probably be happy once again when you talk about that grade and how getting a DH would impact it. I feel like any of those 4 would impact it enough for Diamondbacks fans to feel like they got an A during the offseason. But I know that people probably aren't nearly as excited about Justin Turner as they are about those other 3 choices.
Yeah.
Which really, it's just about the team getting better. And Justin Turner does, in fact, make this team better. It's just really about, what he's going to cost in relation to what those other guys are going to cost. And I would rather have one of those other guys.
We had several write-ins for Cody Bellinger. There were probably 3 or 4
Hometown
of those.
Why not?
Let's see what else there was in here. Someone said trade for Josh Naylor, which the question specifically says free agent hitter.
Can't
but
follow the rules.
Some people can't follow the rules, but not really.
Okay,
yeah, that really shouldn't count.
Out. Sorry,
we probably should have thrown that out, but not a totally unreasonable suggestion. We may talk about Josh Naylor at some point on the show, even though I don't expect that to happen. But let's go ahead and move on to our next question, which was the aforementioned, how do you feel about the job that Torey Lovullo has done as Diamondbacks manager? Certainly strong approval ratings here, Derek. No surprises. 53.6% approve, 33.8% strongly approve. So that's almost 90%, with pretty positive feedback there for Torey Lovullo. We did have 10.1% neutral, 1.9% said they disapprove, and 0.6% said they strongly disapprove.
How do you strongly disapprove?
That I don't know.
How do you strongly disapprove? Again, that's got to be Thunderbolt.
I think that's probably like 3 or 4 people.
And there
given
are,
how many respondents
we do get that, right? Like we get some, and I'll say it. I'll take the strong stance and say it's a ridiculous response when I see people saying fire Lavallo, like as if he's the direct reason why. Like I know Torey Lavallo does not manage this team in the way that people like all the time, but Torey Lavallo knows exactly what he's doing when he manages during a 162 game season. He knows how much rest guys need. He knows what he needs to do. No, he's not sitting guys when they're hot on purpose just to piss all of us off. He really does have a method to his madness. And actually, it's usually road mapped out so far ahead of time that that's the reason why he sticks to it regardless of how people are doing. He tends to be like, all right, I'm going to pencil you in after 50 games. You're going to have a day off or something like that. And that is, what he's going to stick to. But Torey's just a wonderful manager, and I don't know how you could strongly disapprove, especially of what he was able to do with this team in 2 of the seasons that he's been here as a manager. The way he has led this team, the way that he kind of gets these scrappy underdogs to be, the team that overcomes and achieves, and even if they don't ultimately win the World Series, which is the end goal, that is what you're supposed to do. You still have to applaud what he's been able to do given the roster he's been given over the years and the way that he's been able to lead this team to especially the mountaintop that they got to last year that nobody expected them to get to.
Would you guess that the approval ratings for Mike Hazen are better or worse than
I would guess better.
You are correct.
Okay.
Still very positive. Like Tories were very positive. But yeah, if we look at this question about Mike Hazen, how do you feel about the job that Mike Hazen has done in his 7 years as Diamondbacks general manager? Very positive here as well. Strongly approve up to 48.3% here. Approve 45.3%.
This makes sense.
And then neutral 5.9%. Disapprove 0.5%. And not a single person said they strongly disapprove here.
I get this is what I expected to see more for Torey, but I understand it because Torey's maneuvers day in, day out, they get scrutinized, and sometimes you can get it stuck in your head after a stretch that you really do think he's a bad manager, and that's how you view him, whether the team does well or doesn't do well, right? But you got to, I think the perception with the Arizona Diamondbacks is that they have no money at all, right? And Mike Hazen is like a chef that can make, just this amazing meal out of nothing. I went on and on to you about the fact that I went to a place the other night, Jesse. I'm not going to give away a free ad because I know Max would kill me for that. But they used a fried hamburger bun as a dessert. They put sugar and cinnamon on it. They added some Nutella on top. They put a little orange zest, a little sea salt, a little
a fried hamburger bun,
cherry compote on top. Yeah, they elevated the shit out of a fried hamburger bun. And again, it's what you can do sometimes with the ingredients that you're given. Mike Hazen is not necessarily given this huge budget to go out there and get the best talent that money can buy. However, he has been backed, he was able to put together a roster good enough to do what they did last year. And now that they have seen what he has done, it feels like they are empowering him this offseason with those finances that we've kind of been dying to see him put out there to go out there and make this team better and try to replicate what they did last year. I'll just say, though, at times teams spend money just to spend money, right? And it's like you can't just always be happy that your team's spending money when they're spending it the way like the Mets did and it ends up being a complete disaster, right? So you got to give credit where credit is due, and Mike Hazen doesn't have that kind of budget, yet he is still able to bring this team, together. So it's been impressive.
Yeah, I feel like both the questions about Torey and Mike, there's a ton of recency bias in this, right? I mean,
of course.
It all depends on when you ask these questions.
I would take a bullet for both of these guys right now.
Coming off of run to the World Series, I'm not at all surprised that, the ratings here are as positive as they were. If the D-backs, have 2 bad weeks to start the season or something and we take this poll again,
I'm not taking a bullet
the numbers probably
I'm not
tank.
doing that,
So we'll see how this evolves over time. But the next one is, which player do you want the Diamondbacks to extend the most? Everyone thinks it's going to be Zach Gallen, and yes, it is Zach Gallen.
Of course,
came out on top here. Gallen at 53.9%. Gabby Moreno, though, in second place at 26.8%, which was higher than I expected it to be.
Definitely.
Christian Walker in third at 11.8%. Merrill Kelly, who has a couple more years of time with the Diamondbacks before he hits free agency, he's in fourth at 6.5%. And then in the other category, we had 1% there as well.
Yep, absolutely. And Gabriel Moreno, again, that just shows how people are not only in love with these young players, that they've become huge fans of theirs, but that's a priority. Like keeping that young core together, like feels like it's becoming more of a priority than even keeping someone like Christian Walker around. And now that might also be recency bias as well, because I know that a lot of people were kind of upset with Walker's play during the postseason and really felt like he was, that piece that was missing during the World Series. But I don't know. I mean, I think that, again, all of those guys are very important. It would be just great. It would be great to see him pull a Braves move and just extend every one of those guys on that list. Merrill Kelly's interesting, though, because I don't feel like we talk about him enough. And I don't know, like, even if Merrill Kelly was to be extended, how long you're going out on Merrill Kelly considering his age.
It's a good point. Yeah, Merrill Kelly right now, 35 years old. He turned 35 in October.
So he'll be 37 at the end of his current contract.
So he would be 37 at the end. Yeah, and it's do you want to extend Merrill Kelly through age 39, age 40? I would be kind of surprised if the Diamondbacks wanted to do that at this point. I could maybe see next offseason if he gets Cy Young votes in 2024 as another fantastic season.
Yeah.
Maybe entering next offseason, you're like, hey, we're going to not only pick up the club option for 25, but we want to sign you for 2026 as well. I could maybe see them tacking on one more year, but yeah, you're not talking about like a 4 or 5 year deal with Merrill Kelly at this point. Elise asked who were the other 1%, which is kind of interesting. There were a few write-ins here. Someone wrote in Alec Thomas, Kevin Ginkel was mentioned, Geraldo Perdomo, Paul Sewald also mentioned here, as well as Jordan Lawler. Jordan Lawler would be, obviously bullish to extend him at this point. But I mean, we've seen teams sign big extensions to guys that they haven't even seen at all in the majors. The Brewers, of course, just did that with Jackson Chourio.
They want that Corbin Carroll move. They want to do it before he breaks out, so that it doesn't end up costing them way more money.
Corbin feels a little bit more of a can't miss guy than Jordan Lawler does, though.
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah. I mean, but I wouldn't have thought that when Corbin Carroll got drafted, honestly. Like, I didn't.
But that was more throughout the minors. Like, it just felt like that guy was like a superstar in the making, especially his call-up the year before. He hit pretty well.
He sped through the minors faster than any human being I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed. And so I'm saying that he's on a different planet.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, because you're saying the speed in which he made it to the majors when he's here already, it's like, yo, we need to sign this guy.
I mean, Jordan Lawler made it to the majors at a younger age. I mean, Jordan Lawler is still younger now than Corbin Carroll was when he made his big league debut.
It was in part due to necessity of cutting Nick Ahmed rather than
whereas necessity Corbin, of trying to find some answer at shortstop against lefties. Yes, I don't know if Jordan Lawler gets that call up in other scenarios, but Paul Sewald, I think that's a reasonable suggestion. I mean, Sewald only has one more year. And the Diamondbacks don't have a closer beyond 2024 at this point. There are certainly, you could talk about Kevin Ginkel moving into that role for sure. But there aren't any super clear answers in that regard at this point. So I thought that was a reasonable suggestion.
Ginkel mania runs wild.
Our next one is, where do you want the Diamondbacks to play long term? This, of course,
I'm guessing Henderson, Nevada got 0 votes.
Yeah, Henderson, Nevada did not get any votes. I don't think I had an other category. I forced people to choose between renovated Chase Field or another stadium in the Phoenix metro area.
They said they're not leaving Maricopa County, right?
I didn't even feel the need to put in something about Nevada or whatever, because the Diamondbacks have said that's not happening, and that wouldn't get any votes anyway. Renovated Chase Field, 80.3% of people said that they want the team to stay at Chase Field and just fix it up over time. The other 19.7% said they want a new stadium somewhere in the Phoenix metro area.
I'm going to give you one reason why I think it's important to keep Chase Field is the history and the fact that we in this town don't often have things that have stuck around for a while. You know what I mean? Like, all of our classic places here in town get demolished and replaced by something new. There's all these memories. We have all these come visit Metro Center and do a car drive around it for the last time, or just staples of the Valley. When you go to other cities, there are restaurants and buildings and places and stadiums that have been around for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and they're like a staple of that city. And like, we don't really have a lot of that here. I think
That's
that
fair.
it's important to keep Chase Field, as a relevant, sports facility here in town for multiple reasons. I feel like it's still the most cost effective. Renovating that place is not
100%.
going to cost you more money than building a goddamn new $1.5 billion stadium somewhere else. I just think that, again, it's one of those things that is part of our history now. I mean, that's the reason why I felt like it was important for them to do what they did to America West Arena, which I'm going to call it that, and make it into whatever the hell it is now, Footprint Center. But like, I love that it's still that building. I've gone to that building my entire life. I've attended shows in that building, and I didn't want it to go the way of Veterans Memorial Coliseum, where it's just this thing that's there that nobody goes to anymore. I like.
I mean, taking down Chase Field would be quite an ordeal.
No, but
I have a feeling that it will stay there for a long time.
The stuff they're doing
no
downtown,
matter what the Diamondbacks do.
Hell no, they would smash that thing and make it into high-rise, high-rise apartments in no time.
You think it'd be a high-rise apartment?
It would be something. It would be some sort of thing where they could really juice as much money out of a centralized location like that in downtown Phoenix as possible. It'd probably be some sort of combo of office space and apartments or something.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I love the renovations that they did with the Footprint Center as well. And I felt like that was something that made me realize, like, you can do this. You can take Chase Field, you can change it. You can make some cool party deck areas, change some of the seating, make some of the suites different, and make it an alluring draw for people to want to come to. But most importantly, make it more alluring for the common person to attend baseball games. Again, like standing room only seats where there's actually places to stand, where you're not going to get yelled at by an usher for being there, and things like that is what people want. They want to be able to attend these games cheap. I think that, ballpark pass is a huge step in the right direction. But like, again, we weren't huge fans of them making FanFest an exclusive thing for season ticket holders. We do have something to talk about, though, in regards to that. But again, this is this building is just very important. I want them to stay there, just like 80+% of the people voting wanted them to stay there.
And it certainly sounds like that's the way things are trending. When we talked with Ken Kendrick just about a month ago now, he said that things are trending in that direction. That is the most likely outcome. So book is not entirely closed on that yet. We'll still have to wait and see when the Diamondbacks make a more official announcement. But Connor says it's an airplane.
That's my mantra too. It's an airplane hangar, but it's our airplane.
It's our airplane hangar.
It might be an ugly building, but it's our ugly building.
There are some things that renovating Chase Field would not fix, and getting rid of the airplane hangar vibe would be difficult, I think. But yeah, there are things that you could do to that building that would make it a substantially better place.
Lean into the airplane hangar vibe, Jesse. Just have a helicopter come through the roof, straight right down on the center field, and drop off I don't know, Randy Johnson to throw out the first pitch on opening day. That would be fucking incredible. That'd be incredible.
There you go. All right, we've got two more. Next one, how confident are you in the Diamondbacks' overall direction? I was hesitant to even include this one because, people are probably pretty confident after the team was just in the World Series.
Idiot.
We had 65.1% say very confident, 34% somewhat confident, 0.8% unsure, and not a single vote for not very confident or not confident at all.
I don't know how you couldn't be confident in the D-backs overall direction. We knew this team was, a team they're building towards in the future. We couldn't have expected them to do what they did last year and be there as early as they were. And it feels like the team is all in on improving, like I said earlier. And the moves are good too. Everybody feels good about those offseason moves. So, I mean, it's hard not to be confident when this team has developed a young core that is playing really good baseball right now. And they went into this offseason and made some really key additions to the weaknesses of this team. Starting pitching was good, but they just didn't have enough of it. And that third base situation was a goddamn nightmare, So it was like to now have a guy that started all 162 games for the Seattle Mariners at third base, or played at least all 162 games. I'm not sure if he started all at third, but a guy that played that much over there and able to handle, the hot corner like that. It just feels like this team is definitely moving in a better direction. And again, what better direction can you go than, appearing in the World Series last year,
I'm really curious what this would have looked like if the Diamondbacks had narrowly missed the playoffs or just,
question.
made it in the first round and then bowed out after that. I feel like the difference would be pretty significant. I do think there's quite a bit.
You think so?
I think there's quite a bit of recency bias going into this, but yeah, I mean, the question
if they didn't
is,
make the playoffs, it might have been different. But if they made the
that's
playoffs,
fair.
I don't feel like anybody would have been upset that they lost to the Brewers. It would have been a bit disappointing. You know, you would say like, here we go again, getting into the playoffs, but not being able to do anything, you know?
Yeah. And the question is, how confident are you in the team's overall direction? It's not like, you know, do you think the team is going to make the playoffs next year or whatever? So yeah, I understand pretty much everyone being confident in the team's overall direction. Obviously, the Diamondbacks are trying to, you know, build up a young core of players that can be here for a long time. And there's a lot of things to like about the team's direction in the bigger picture. So yeah, the fact that more than 99% of people said they were somewhat confident or very confident, no huge surprises there. The last question is kind of a fun one and an outrageous one. Will the Diamondbacks win the World Series in the next 10 years? Obviously, they got very close in 2023, weren't quite able to pull it out. 83.5%. Derek, say that the Diamondbacks are going to bring a title to the Valley in the next decade.
Just one? That's it? I voted for 3. Yeah, no, that's it's hard not to feel that way. How do you expect me not to feel this way? How did you not expect me to feel the Suns were going to go back the next year after they were in the finals against the Bucks and win the championship? How did you expect me not to feel that way? It sure didn't happen, but I still feel that way, and I still feel that way about this year's team after watching their comeback last night. But again, this isn't a Sun show as much as I want it to be. It's a Diamondback show, and I agree with this very much. I do think that the Diamondbacks will win the World Series in the next 10 years. I will say this. I say this confidently. I think that they, at the very least, will appear in more than one World Series in the next 10 years.
Wow.
2 or more.
Wow.
I'm delusional, Jesse. You know that.
Yeah, I had a feeling that after the team got to the World Series in 2023, that people would get a little greedy on this. Yes. I didn't quite see it going as high as about 84% of people. But I mean, 10 years is a fairly long time. A lot can happen in 10 years, both good and bad, right? On average, a baseball team, the chance that a given MLB team will win the World Series in a 10-year span is about a third. Just like mathematically, like if all the teams were equally talented and whatever. So yeah, it's not a totally outrageous thing. But I mean, the reality is, and we talked about this a lot after the World Series, once you get to that spot and you're not able to get over the hump and win the thing, it's really hard to get back to that spot. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Even if the Diamondbacks in 2024 do win 96 games or whatever, right? A whole lot of things can go right. And you still in the postseason, like maybe you get through the first round and then you hit a roadblock and you can't find your way into the NLCS or whatever.
Maybe they're undone by their own, hoisted by their own petard, if you will. Next year, maybe they have a good regular season and then some upstart team that barely makes it in gets hot at the end and sweeps them or whatever. The Diamondbacks did that exact thing, and it's the flaw of the playoffs. But yeah, it's too random. It's not like random. Other sports where you can feel like a team is set to be like a contender for a number of years.
Like the Suns are title contenders, and it almost doesn't matter what happens they need to make the playoffs, but after that, the Suns are like they're okay. They can win the thing. The D-backs, it's different. It's different in baseball. The field is large and it's not as top heavy. If you have a few star players, that doesn't do for you in baseball what it does in other sports.
The good thing about the experience that these young guys got this particular year is seeing that sometimes things aren't going to go right. Sometimes you're going to have your ups and downs during the season. You're going to have your Julys. And then all you got to do is make the playoffs.
Hopefully for the Diamondbacks, they don't ever have a July again.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, right? You can see that like just like in life, just like as a hitter, right? Like you're going to go through your struggles and you're going to bounce back, but you got to keep a certain mindset because it's part of the game. And I think them experiencing the fact that they just got in to the playoffs, but were still able to make that magic happen during that run, it's just something that will stick with them, that like, hey guys, as long as we can make it in, as long as we can get there, anything can happen. And that's a good attitude to have. But like usually you're seeing that from like an outside perspective. You don't get the chance to experience it yourself and be like, hey, remember what we did? Like we can do that again. Right. So like it feels like whenever they kind of need that experience of making a run and just getting to the playoffs and allowing that anything can happen factor, is that they've done it. That's a very that instills a lot of confidence in you. I will say though that this was exciting. I love these results, and I'm very excited about the way that Diamondbacks fans feel about this team.